Welcome to Bellman Woodworking Designs with me, Brent Bellman. Today we're going to show you how to make one of these a farmhouse cabinet. So let's check it out and see how you can make one of these yourself. Now looking into this, so this idea I got right here came from A Glimpse Inside, and I'll have a link to his YouTube channel down below. I found his YouTube channel about a year ago, about this time last summer, and he did this project later on in the year. I thought it was really cool. He's actually done 2 versions of this project, so this was inspired by him. So thank you, I'll link his channel, and then if you're checking this out, Glimpse Inside, then thank you for the idea, I appreciate it. So with this cabinet, the most important thing, the most unique part about it that makes it custom for you is the door. So the door actually is a repurposed window frame out of the house, an old house. So if you're like projects that have a lot of patina to them, that old kind of farmhouse quality, I found this one at a place called Trade Days that's here local to me here in Texas, and it was just a big trading community. So every 3rd Saturday of the month, they have a big event called Trade Days, and I found someone selling these out there. So probably I would say go check out a local antique mall if there's like a town square somewhere that has antique malls, something like that, or some kind of a trading community. You can even look online. People sell these online through Craigslist and stuff like that. That's where you can find these. And I was looking for one in this shape, so I knew I wanted to build this one cabinet that ended up going in our bathroom. So this is a window. It's even still got the old latch on top. And one something I'll make sure to point out is I didn't realize till afterward that I really wanted this side, which y'all can't see it very well here, but this was white. That's the side I wanted, but I didn't realize, I didn't pay attention that there was this little ledge sticking up here from the original window, and I just didn't catch that. So I didn't want to rip that off and mess up the look that it all had. So now, so flipped it over, but gray is still good. We like that. That's a good color. So once you find that, there's some hinges. You'll see those in the video. Think about what kind of hinges you want. I encourage you. I looked around my kitchen and other places in my house to see what kind of hinges were installed there. That's what helped me decide the kind of hinges I wanted to get. But I actually got hinges that latch to the inside of the cabinet. Everything else on here, you'll see in the video, is built out of 3/4 inch plywood. And then I covered the outside to cover up the grain of the plywood with poplar. I just took it, a 3/4 inch board, and shaved down 1-inch strips, and that covered everything from the shelves and all that. And there's shelf pins to hold everything else in. So great project, cool build. Let's look at it and see how to make one of these yourself. Alright, so this project was built completely out of 3/4 inch plywood, and with some plywood I had left over from another project, so I start by cutting it down with my circular saws to make the pieces more manageable. And when I do that, I usually leave about 1 inch, make everything about 1 inch bigger than it needs to be before I start running it across my table saw. This just makes sure I get a nice straight edge. If you have a straight edge of some kind to be able to cut your plywood with to get really straight edges, that's great, but for me I just cut it a little bit bigger and then run everything back across the table saw to get everything nice and straight. And same thing here, just get those edges square. So these are the hinges that I bought. These are very similar to the hinges that are in my kitchen, and I did this a little bit out of order, but I just kind of marked out where they needed to be. And then I used 2 different Forstner bits to drill out sections where it would be, and I had to go back with the chisel after that and just kind of clean up the shape just to make sure it fit right. And I did go a little bit at a time there, just trying to make sure that I didn't bore any further than I had to for the hinge there. So you can see there's that second Forstner bit, and then it almost fits, so then I went back and just cleaned things up with a chisel, and then that made it all work out where the hinges could fit in there. And so I repeated that step for both hinges, and then was able to attach it to the cabinet. And there was that test fit there. So from here I just started cutting the width of my pieces for the top and the bottom and what would be the shelves. Cut all those apart and made sure that those were the right width there. And then here, these are some clamps from Rockler. They're corner clamps. You maybe have seen these online from else before. I've used them when I built a cajon, and I might put a link to that project here. But they're great for holding things together square. They do a great job. It's like having a 3rd set of hands to hold things in place. I still, off camera, I had to play with it a little bit when you get the pieces lined up, and it does overall a pretty good job of holding them. But just make sure, when you're trying to nail it, that's where I'm always get worried and where I get kind of finicky trying to make sure everything fits together right, is not shooting a nail through my hand. So just be careful of that as you do that. But other than that, it's great just holding the pieces together square. So I definitely highly recommend a set of those if you don't have them. So this is also a Craig jig here, used for drilling those the shelf pins, the holes for the shelf pins. So another great jig. Of course, you could make something like this yourself, but the Craig jig works really well for that. So make sure when you do this that you know what's the top and what's the bottom, and double check all your gaps before you start drilling. I unfortunately on one side messed it up, but I was able to go back and fix it. And I did, just something to note, I drilled all those shelf pins before putting the shelf together. I wasn't sure if the drill with the jig would be too tall, so just something to keep in mind for yours. Before you attach everything together, make sure you can still drill holes for your shelf pins and make sure your drill will be able to fit inside of there. But I just wanted to make sure, so I drilled those together first. I drilled the shelf pins and then attached everything together after that. So everything on here is held together with glue and brad nails, and I knew I wasn't going to be putting anything like super incredibly heavy in here, so it's definitely strong enough for me. So this was some beadboard I had left over, again, from another project that I decided to use just to save some money, and it ended up looking great. I haven't used beadboard in any kind of cabinets in our house until this one, but considering it's the old farmhouse kind of style, it worked awesome. So again, that's just glued and brad nailed on there, and does a really good job. And I think it's 1/2" beadboard. I don't think there's anything thicker than that, but that's just what it came out to. But definitely strong enough to support your cabinet on the wall. So here I'm attaching the poplar. These were 1/8" strips that I just cut down. I've bought a board of poplar a while back, and I use it for that purpose. I use it just to cut strips. And I would love to get some bandy clamps at some point, but I just kind of am able to press it in place, hold on there for a little bit, and it usually, for my purposes, does a pretty good job, looking good, and staying how I want it to stay, and covers up all the edges of that plywood. So, of course, did go back and trim all the edges off after I did that. For me, I don't have a trim saw. Everyone likes a flush trim saw. I don't know if that's the right name for that. So I let everything dry before I go off, and I just had a hand saw to cut off with, and then sanded all the edges around there. Actually, to go back with a plane, I have a hand plane that helped me take off the high end, because the poplar is a little bit taller than 3/4 inch, or I should say there you go, with the hand plane. Plywood, even though it says 3/4 inch plywood, it's actually not. So I did go back and shave those edges off there, and then I still went back and sanded everything after the fact, just to make everything nice and smooth. So at this point, I'm cutting the cleat that this is going to hang on. So again, for cleats, you just have a board that you're going to cut at 45 degrees, and then you'll need another board that you'll also cut at 45 degrees that will receive this board. So once you have two of them, they match together, and that becomes the cleat that anything will hang on. So that's what I did here. So I have this cleat, and I've just made it wide enough to go across two studs in my bathroom, because that's where this is going to hang, and then that'll do everything that I need it to do for it to hang on to the wall. Alright, I want to take a break real quick in the this build just to give a shout out to my two Patreon supporters. And those are Phil Mason and Alex Imay. So thank you both very much for your loyalty and support. And if you want to find out more about how you can support me and the things that I do, check out in the description below. You click on that link, it will take you straight to my Patreon page. Thanks a lot, Alex and Phil. So right here, I'm just making sure that I'm getting that cleat level, kind of marking where it should be on there. And again, it doesn't matter how high or low you place that, you should make sure that it coordinates with where you want to hang it to wherever you're going to hang your shelf. And this is where it did get a little bit finicky, so I didn't put all the shots in here, but you got it in place with clamps and held it there while I was getting that in the right spot that I wanted to be able to attach that. And I attached that with glue and brad nails going through the inside. That way there wouldn't somehow be any nails sticking out when I did that. So when you do a French cleat, you of course need a spacer on the back, so that's what that was. That was the spacer there for that. So this is just finishing up those hinges, drilling the holes and screwing those in place. And then what I didn't show was when I screwed these into the cabinet right there, I just put spacers between the door and the cabinet just to hold it in place, to then mark where the screws would go on the inside, and then drilled those and attached them. And then from here you can see this Danish oil going on. I wanted something to be easy. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on the finish. I really wanted that kind of farmhouse patina look. So I actually didn't give any clear coat after this, but I mean, this is a kind of a finish and stain, but it worked great and definitely has the look that I was going for, that I wanted it to have. So everything got covered in this. There's two shelves that go on the inside that work with that, so we did that. From here I did go back and buy a handle that I thought would look kind of old but still nice, to have this kind of a classy look on there. So I had to go back and set that screw in there so where it fit inside of there. So there's attaching that handle, and I think it looks really great on there, making something look old and new at the same time.
And this is just kind of a quick lesson on how to hang something with a French cleat. So of course I went and found my studs first, and then from there you're able to hang up your cleat, mark the screws where it need to go, and of course drilling those in there. And I did 2 screws, and then use your level to make sure that's going to go up level on the wall. And once you got that there, you put your screws in, you can hang your shelf or hang your cabinet, whatever you got, and then you're ready to go.
So here's our final product. I know you saw a little bit at the beginning, but just to show a few things off again. This can really be practical for whatever you want. I've kind of set it up to be decorative right now, but you can put anything in here. This is actually in the toilet room of our house. We'll end up holding, toilet paper or whatever, things that we need to be in here. But you could make this bigger or deeper. It could be large enough to hold towels if you wanted it to. This actual cabinet is only about 7 inches deep. That's just how I wanted it in the space I knew I wanted. But if you were doing a more standard cabinet, you could make it like 12 inches deep. If you knew you got a set of towels and build it out to be that depth. You did see it is hung with a French cleat, and that worked really well for me. You could actually bolt it into the wall, but I thought this would be easier to remove in the end by mounting it with a French cleat. So if you decide to make one of these, make it to satisfy the needs that you have in your home and your space. It doesn't have to be in a bathroom. It could be, in a kitchen. This could be a highlight piece in the kitchen. You could stick something like this on a kitchen island if you're building a custom island. Anywhere you want it to go. This could be in a bedroom. So that's kind of what's neat about this kind of style of cabinet. It's very versatile. It could go anywhere that you want it to go. It can be anything you want it to be. So I hope this has inspired you for your next project. I know it was really cool when I saw it and I wanted to make one. So hopefully you've seen this video and you're inspired to do something similar. Again, I encourage you to go check out any kind of antique malls or local trade days or anything like that where people are selling stuff to find a window. And there's lots of different styles of windows out there. To pick the one that fits your personality, the look that you want in your house. So again, thank you for watching this. If you like this video, click the like button down below. If you like my channel and things we're doing, you can click that subscribe button down below also. That'll get you notifications about future videos that I'm doing and more products that I'm putting out. And feel free to check out the rest of my channel and all the other videos that I've got. So thank you very much for being here. Thanks for coming to my channel. If this is your first time, welcome. Thank you for being here. And again, if you want to, you can check out my Patreon link below. But thank you very much. And until next time, be safe, keep learning, keep building.